Shalonda and saying thank you to Carla Walker Miller and to the team that put this event together. This is a year where something like this is not supposed to exist. This is a year when a lot of the names that you see on the placards that say sponsor, those names are courageous names. Because a lot of folks who know they should be there are too afraid to be there. The issue is, what are they afraid of? Well, they're afraid of 3 letters. They're afraid of DEI.
Yeah.
Now, when I say that out loud, there's a part of me that chuckles a bit, because I'm trying to figure out which part they're afraid of. Is it a deep fear of diversity, which simply means for all people? That no matter who you are or where you start, that in the United States of America, we believe that you belong? Are they fearful of equity, which doesn't guarantee you success, it guarantees you access? Because equity simply means fair access to opportunity, and in a nation that began by prescribing the notion of equity to white men who did not own land, who wanted to participate in a democracy, I don't understand why equity is suddenly so frightening. Or are they terrified about the specter of inclusion, which simply means respect for others, which we like to pretend is our national credo. But in recent times, it seems to be the most terrifying possibility of all, that maybe, just maybe, we have to respect one another, and therefore protect one another, and therefore expect of one another our best selves. I'm not afraid of DEI, I say it all the time. Because I know the folks who oppose it aren't afraid of the letters. They're afraid of the values. But these values can be traced 250 years. As I pointed out, the original DEI folks were the Revolutionary Warriors who said that being landed gentry should not guarantee you better access to citizenship, and they fought a revolution about it. We are simply the legacy of what they started. And Justice 40, the Inflation Reduction Act, those are simply better examples, again and again, of how we as a nation believe that we can grow and evolve and get better. Every time we make a mistake, every time we have to correct our actions, we are willing to learn and grow. That is the nature of the American dream. And so I'm here because I believe in DEI. I also am here because I grew up near what is known as Cancer Alley. I grew up in southern Mississippi, and I debated in Louisiana because we were the only debate team in southern Mississippi. No, that's a whole other conversation. And so in high school, we would have to travel to New Orleans as members of the Louisiana Forensics League. But to get to some of the tournaments, we had to go through an area known as Cancer Alley. And if you've ever been to that region of Louisiana, it's where there's a line of petrochemical plants and where pollution has had free reign for 50 years. When I got to college, I kept thinking about that, and I was thinking about the fact that I went to Spelman College, which I love, thank you. But my older sister went to Agnes Scott College, and when I visited her on her campus, Andrea's campus was verdant and green, and when she went beyond the gates, there were bookstores and coffee shops. Where I went to school, beyond our gates, inside our gates was also verdant and green, but beyond our gates there were housing developments, gas stations, and liquor stores. And I didn't understand why, since we were paying the same tuition, we had such different realities. And I started to understand that part of democracy wasn't simply the act of casting a ballot, it was making sure those votes worked for the people who lived in those communities. So I started going to zoning committee meetings. I was the nerdiest 17-year-old you can imagine. But I also became involved in environmental justice issues. So much so that my sophomore year, I spent thinking about these issues. My junior year, I actually interned for the Environmental Criterion and Assessment Office in North Carolina, an incredibly obscure division of the EPA. And the following summer, I actually interned for the newly created Office of Environmental Justice under the US EPA under Bill Clinton. I am much older than I look. But what I learned there, what I carried with me, what Shalonda referenced, is that I've had a commitment to democracy and to justice. And in my mind, those are both exemplified by the work you are here to do. You see, in 2023, I had some free time. I'd applied for this job for a second time. They said no. Whatever. I've always believed that not getting the job doesn't exempt you from the work, if the work really matters. And so I had two areas of focus. One, I was working on an environmental project, because in 2020, and in 2021, I was part of a national exercise that led to the passage of legislation that for the first time in almost 100 years is going to transform our nation's engagement in climate action. But as someone who grew up what my mother referred to as genteel poor, we had no money, but we watched PBS and we read books. I didn't want to see the opportunities that those billions of dollars would create. I didn't want to watch that money wash past the communities that needed it. That legislation did something transformative. It said we are going to serve all because we can see all. But what we needed was success for all. And those dollars were designed to create that. And so I created a company known as Power-Based Energy, and our job was straightforward. We wanted to make certain that independent contractors, that people of color, that women, that veterans, that people who didn't have access to the big dollars and weren't being scooped up by equity firms, that they had a chance to participate in the money side of environmental action. And so I created PBE, and we were able to retrofit 79 homes in a town of 124. That's a pretty good log out. But at the same time, I created another entity because I like making stuff up. I created an organization called American Pride Rises. And American Pride Rises is focused on DEI. Because as I said, this is in our nation's DNA. It is the recipe we have had for success. Those who are attacking DEI aren't mad because it failed, they're mad because it works. They're mad because rooms like this exist, because DEI exists, because DEI is the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. It's also Fair Labor Standards Act. It's Title IX and Title I. If you are, I don't know, a white guy who graduated from high school in the Appalachian Mountains in the last 30 years, perhaps you're now the Vice President of the United States because DEI ensures your access to public education. And that's not to cast aspersions or throw shade, it is to say that this serves all of us. And fundamentally, when we combine the conversation of climate action with the proven success of DEI, we change the world. The United States is the powerhouse it is because we are a pluralistic society that has always said, in word if not always in deed, that we are entitled to as much as we can grab, and we should do as much as we can for as many as we can. That's what American pride is. That's why we're here. And I'm here today at Carla's invitation because I want us to think about how we merge those two together, how you in this room can carry a banner and carry a legacy that might carry risk, but it also carries extraordinary reward. Yeah. I'm here to ask you to do three things. The first is see. We have to see the opportunity before us. There might be screens on the television, there might be threats in the air, but we know that the environmental action that we are taking is the only way we survive. That they can erase the data as much as they want, they can eliminate access to the science, but they cannot change reality. And when typhoons are hitting Alaska, when hurricanes are now common in communities that have never seen them before, then we know that climate action is not only necessary, it is an imperative, but it's also an opportunity. And you're here because you see that opportunity. You see that if in this moment we don't become afraid of our shadows or afraid of the threats, but we instead do as entrepreneurs have done for legions of years, if we instead say, I see an opening and I'm going to slide myself in there and I'm going to pry it open and grab what I can, if we are willing to see success, then we can get this work done. So first we're going to do what?
See.
The second we're going to do is serve. Say serve.
Serve.
Climate action is not about the wealthy getting more. Climate action is about everyone getting something. The movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once, fantastic movie, incredible title, terrible mission statement. We can't do everything everywhere all at once, but we can all do something somewhere soon. And you are here because you not only see the opportunity, you're willing to serve the people who are left out and left behind. You're willing to give them access because you know that in this moment, they are the people who are the least likely to see opportunity. They're the least likely to be served by those who should. And they're the least likely to believe that more is possible. But when you combine seeing possibility with serving, say serve.
Serve.
When you are willing to combine seeing opportunity with serving the people who need it, what you realize is they've got money too. They've got opportunity too. They've got needs too. And entrepreneurship is nothing more profound than serving the needs of those and getting a little bit of return on that investment. So if we're willing to see climate action as a call and serve the people who need it, then we are 2 steps closer to transformation. Because once we've decided to see and to serve, the third thing we're going to do is surge. Say surge.
Surge.
Now I use that one because I do electricity stuff. But when we surge, when we decided that in this moment, despite the castings of aspersion on green energy, the vile invective against climate action, the pretense that doing better means everyone else can survive longer, when we decide to surge forward, when we invest and we collaborate, when we do the work of building these companies, when we go into spaces that do not believe that we can be there, we change the future. And especially if you're black and you're brown, because we're not used to being seen in these spaces, and we're certainly not used to being served in these spaces. But together with Recess behind us, we can surge into these spaces and we can change the future of energy in this country, and we can bring along all the friends who want to be there with us. Because if we do that work, if we come together, if over the course of this conference you collect business cards not to build your pile at home, but to build your connections across, when you actually take time to listen instead of preparing your words for what you're going to tell the next person, when we find relationships and build partnerships, we are building in this room this kind of network that can not only create change, it can create a lot of change. Change in the atmosphere and change in your pockets. Because the reality is that the next wave of economic opportunity relies on being able to save the planet. And if we show up when others are afraid, if we show up when others are risk avoidant, when we show up when others tell us we should stay home, when we show up and invest and believe, when we show up and we serve, when we show up and we see, when we show up and we speak up, when we say DEI is a call to arms and a call to action, we can change the future. Because together we're first going to do what?
See.
And then we're going to
serve.
And we're going to finally
surge.
And together we will change the future. So help me get it done. Thank you so much.
Yes. Everyone, you have just heard live from Recess, Stacey Abrams at the Research Conference. We are live in Detroit. This is Stacey Abrams live from Detroit at the Recess Conference.